Good morning and welcome to the Sports Debate podcast. I am BA. I got with me James Martin and, of course, Jack Hirsch. Hope you fellas are doing good this morning. So there was a women's basketball game. Let's get right into it. There was a women's basketball game last night between UConn and South Carolina. South Carolina prevailed 62-48. However, at the end of the game, there was some controversy because Gino Auriemma, the coach of UConn, didn't shake Dawn Staley's hand, and there was some riffraff going on in between that whole situation. My question is, was he justified in not doing so in shaking Dawn Staley's hand? And we'll go to let's start off with Jack this morning because Jack is spry.
I wish I knew that was going to happen. Then I would have watched the game. I would have studied the body language. Confession, I didn't see the game. I should have seen the game. I didn't see the game. I watch all these sporting events as you guys do, one after the other, listening to sports shows. So we miss things once in a while. We do. We have other things to do. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I do at least. And I assume you guys do as well. You need to unwind. And so what went down between Gino Auriemma and Dawn Staley when UConn was on this big winning streak, their national powerhouse, favored to win the national championship, and they're meeting their main rival, Dawn Staley, South Carolina team. And it didn't go UConn's way. They just shot the ball poorly. It didn't go their way. And the losing coach is automatically going to be upset. Automatically going to be upset. Any coach is going to have a little bit of a short fuse. They're going to smile. They're going to make nice for the camera in a lot of cases. But the way it's really eating at them. And it's easy to lose it. You have to look at the personalities involved. Dawn Staley is a very strong, powerful, well-respected woman with a good reputation. Gino is a little bit, I don't want to say of a loose cannon, but he's a little along the UConn lines of, Danny Hurley. He's a little bit temperamental at times, and he's a bit arrogant. Let's be honest. He wins, and he's kind of very gently shoves it in your face. Very gently, okay? And he doesn't exactly leave losing teams with their dignity. He might throw them a little compliment now and then, but this was a rivalry, and UConn loses. And Gino is mad at the officials. And like I said, I didn't see the game. Was he justified to be mad at the officials? If you feel you're not getting the calls and the other team is, that could kind of set you off in a little bit of a way. I've known that coaching on the high school level when I had a far superior team. James, you probably know that. You saw the movie He Got Game. I coached the junior varsity Lincoln High School basketball team one season, and that school, Lincoln, okay, in Brooklyn. And we blitzed another team, but it's at halftime. We have like a 16-point lead, and the other coach has to open the locker room for us to get in. No one's showing up. We're standing in the hallway. Finally, he comes, opens it up, and he makes it a point to let me know the way his team is getting screwed by the officials. Like, what do I have to do with that? Okay, and he's making a point. So Gino is mad at Dawn Staley. He's mad at Dawn Staley like she has something to do with it. One of his players, she got her jersey ripped off. And then he's complaining the way Dawn Staley is talking to the officials. If I talk that way or any other coach talk that way, we get a technical foul, but she's not getting it. Okay, if you're mad about that, don't take it out on Dawn Staley. It's okay you complain about that favoritism. I've heard about Bird and Jordan getting the calls in basketball, but don't complain to them about it. Complain to the people making the calls or whatever. Complain to the media, but don't complain to Dawn Staley. So with that said, did Gino have a right not to shake hands? Based on what I said, absolutely not. but I've seen things like this happen before, and it annoys me at the end of the game. The losing team traditionally should shake the winning team's hand. Once in a while, it gets slightly delayed because the winning team is celebrating wildly, especially if it's a close game that went down to the wire. Guys, remember the United States hockey team against the Russians? As soon as the USA won the game by 1 goal at the end, the Russian team was standing there, on the line, waiting to shake hands, but they were delayed because the USA was going crazy and celebrating. I understand it's hard to shut off the emotions. If it's a last second shot, last second goal in that case, but let's say it's a last second shot, South Carolina wins. They're going to go ecstatic. They're going to go crazy. You don't expect them to flip the switch in a snap of the finger and turn around and shake hands and not celebrate that moment. Of course, the losing team would have to wait a little longer than they'd like to let the winning team reset. But that wasn't the case. South Carolina won the game. They didn't win it at the buzzer. And meanwhile, Gino is waiting reportedly 3 minutes, he says. I don't know if that timeline accurate, but Dawn Staley didn't deny it. Where was Dawn Staley to shake his hand? It's a tradition.
Wait, wasn't that was in the beginning of the game, I believe, right? That was at the beginning of the game.
The end of the game.
No, I think he said that was at the beginning of the game was tradition where the coaches meet up and shake hands or something like that, and it didn't happen. I think that was at the beginning of the game. Maybe I'm wrong.
That 2 handshakes.
Right.
But beginning, there's an end of the game. Well, they did shake hands at the end of the game. Okay, maybe you're right there in the beginning of the game. Okay, maybe you're correct about that. But if it's the beginning of the game, why wait 3 minutes? The game didn't begin. You don't see it.
I think that's where he was annoyed already from the get-go. But I mean, no, they didn't shake hands at the end. They didn't shake hands. They didn't shake hands at the end. He left. He left.
But
like you said.
I stand to be corrected there. But which reminds us of the Detroit Pistons, with Isaiah and the Bulls. Pistons came under criticism. But with Gino at the end of the game, Gino, the commentator saying he has to be held back from Dawn Staley. Could you imagine? Gino wasn't going to hit Dawn Staley. That would have been insane. I mean, if it's 2 men, you never know. You never know. One might put hands on the other. One might shove another. If a man so much as put his hand on a woman's shoulder to complain, it would go over really very badly. Okay, very, very badly. Or conversely, she put hands on him. That wouldn't be exactly a good look, even though it wouldn't be looked at as terrible. But in any event, I just think Gino was kind of in a way justified in a way this time. And don't get me wrong. If you ask me who I'd rather hang out with, be friends with, it would be Dawn Staley because she seems more stable, more together than Gino, who's a bit of a loose cannon. I have a high opinion of Dawn Staley than I do Gino. But in this one particular case, I'm actually sympathetic towards Gino. And you probably remember this, Brian, in closing. It kind of reminds me too. Remember with Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz, the handshake at the end of the game? They go to midfield. And I was disgusted with Jim Harbaugh. The way he shoves Jim Schwartz's hand. It was totally classless by Jim Harbaugh. And I still kind of hold it a little against him. And I always thought after he pushed Jim Schwartz's hand away. Now that Jim Harbaugh, great coach. He might be a very good person, but he's also a jerk. Not to see how his conduct was.
Okay, so I don't think anybody is innocent here, especially Gino. I get it. There's probably some issues with, in the beginning, I heard him in his press conference where he said that we're supposed to, it's tradition. You guys know how this works. Coaches have always shaked hands at the beginning. And he said he's waiting for like 3 minutes for her to come to meet up and shake hands. And it finally, I guess it finally happened. I don't know. But clearly there's some tension between the two. And you get it. It's a rivalry. You know, they beat them in the championship. They beat South Carolina championship last year, and now you're meeting up again in the Final Four. Somebody's got to go home, and so they don't have to like each other. I get that aspect. I get the aspect that you want to make sure your team is doing well. He said in the middle of the half that I get that we're not making shots. Fine, we're not making shots, but don't have someone like Dawn Staley get in the ref's face saying all types of different things that I can't repeat on camera. I'm paraphrasing what he said. And we can't do the same thing. We can't go over and do that. Virtually just accusing her of being able to get away with things. Like you said, you need to talk to the NCAA, not Dawn Staley, about that situation. And also, they just got outclassed. They got outclassed. And I think his actions at the end of the game, when he I guess his temper and the steam just finally needed to come out, and so he brought it out over to Dawn, and you can see by Dawn's reaction that he said something that was offensive, and so because they had to hold her back, and he walked away, and then of course that was just maybe like they had like a 0.3 or 1 second left before the game ended. He walked over and said something, and of course they had to be restrained from each other, and he didn't shake her hand. And so to me, I could be empathetic with him with all of the different things that he said in regards to winning. But that being said, man, come on, you understand what it is, Jack. You got to shake hands. You got to shake hands at the end, because the optics just doesn't look good on your part. And regardless of anything else that you were complaining about, it falls on deaf ears when everybody, because no one is listening to anything you're saying, because your actions have just taken precedence over everything, and you walked off the court without congratulating. And what are you telling your players? This is how we act. This is how we behave. This is what we do. We're supposed to show class. When you win, you celebrate, and they won last year. This time you lost, and so this is how you behave as losers. It makes you an even bigger loser, and not because you lost physically or through talent, but just by your actions and how you were able to not, to receive a losing effort. You didn't lose graciously. And I get it. I'm not sometimes like that. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and say, I want to always shake somebody's hand.
Whoa. You're not a hypocrite as a person, but in this particular instance, you might be. Not as a person at all. You're not a hypocrite. What about Isaiah Thomas? You justified, right? Isaiah's your guy. Isaiah feels it's okay to walk off the court. He said the Celtics did it with them. They did it with the Bulls. No one cares, Isaiah said. No one cared at that time, at least.
Yeah, in regards to what Isaiah said, in regards to the reasoning as to why. I still love Isaiah, but you still got to shake the hands. I didn't justify. I don't think I recall. If we could pull up the tape, I don't recall saying that Isaiah was right in his reasoning for not shaking their hands. I get it. I definitely get why. And like I said, I get some of the things in regards to the coach, but you cannot optically in this, especially in today's society, people are not going to, it's going to fall on deaf ears, everything you said, because what they see, everything is a matter of what you see. It's going to be, it's going to trump everything. And I hate using that word now. it's going to take precedence over anything you've said. It's going to fall on deaf ears. So I think in this situation, he just got to, eat it and move on. Shake the hand. And I'm pretty sure it pained him to even shake somebody's hand that beat him. It is what it is.
Well, this is what happens when you don't look at a college game and you just look at the last minute of it. Unfortunately, I am the victim also of not watching that game, but just scanning it, but not watching it. This question should be rearranged. All right. He did shake Dawn Staley's hand at 1.1 second left in the game. That's when the whole controversy with him yelling at her started, and they had to be separated. But he did shake her hand. He shook her hand. The thing is, he did not get into the line and shake the players' hands and the rest of the assistant coaches' hands. He just walked off the court. So he did technically shake Dawn Staley's hand. He was just I wouldn't say berated, but he was just criticized for the fact he didn't get into the handshake line and shake the rest of the players' hands. So that we got to change.
I'm gonna have to stop you right there, brother. That's goofy. You don't shake anybody's hand and then say something to them. You're not shaking their hand. You're virtually coming to say, like what Jack said about what's his name, Schwartz and the other coach for the 49ers at the time, Jim Harbaugh. You're not shaking anybody's hand. I mean, it's like you're coming over here to pretty much give me a slap in the face and said, let's duel. Because the way Dawn reacted, it wasn't, you're not coming over to give me a gesture and say, congratulations. That's not shaking my hand. That's coming over to say, F you. Pretty much.
Technically, he shook her hand.
That's goofy, man. Come on.
But the idea he had to be held back, the optics look terrible. You know, a man and a woman, where man has to be held back. It looks bad if a woman's also trying to get at a man, but it looks doubly bad a man with a woman. Now, he wasn't going to put hands on her, but just the idea he wanted to get in her face.
On him.
But you want to know something? At the end of the day, they're coaches. She's not a woman. He's not a man. They're coaches. As long as there's no
fiery coaches.
They can, right, high-level coaches, competitors, they can go at it. They could say what they want. This is strictly a coaching thing. But the optics look terrible. A man being held back from trying to get at a woman, even though we understand this is sports, it's competitive. Because usually when you're held back, people think you might go a little too far. So,
I mean, again, the optics of the situation weren't ideal. But you can sit there and say all you want about it, James, but technically he shook her hand. Now, the case is that there was words exchanged between the two when that handshake happened, and then it had to be separated, which I kind of if you look at the video, actually,
you're not congratulating me. Yeah, it's what I'm saying. If Dawn first of all, Dawn had to be pulled back first because they start fussing. You're not congratulating me if we're getting into an altercation. Just, like Jack said, shake my hand, walk off. That's it. He had something else to say. So you're not really congratulating me. Why are we doing this? You're taking away from my moment and our team's moment by causing an outburst like this. He did that. What
did Dawn Staley do wrong? If Dawn Staley can influence the officials and intimidate them, more power to her. That means she's doing a great coaching job. That's what she's supposed to do. Mm-hmm. He's mad because in a sense, she's out coaching him by intimidating the officials. Let him intimidate the officials and then she'll get upset. But don't get upset at her. Get upset at the officials. I mean, I lived that coaching high school. There was one time I had, I was given like a red card for bad conduct, berating an official. That's what they called it at the time or whatever. And I complained about the other coach that was saying more than me. And I was told, well, they're very competitive. And then I went crazy. What do you think I am? I mean, I'm getting the card. They're not getting a card because they're very competitive in your understanding of them and not me. But it's a tug of war. You build your own reputation. And kudos to Dawn Staley. She's built enough of a reputation to maybe intimidate the officials. And that's what the great ones do. The great ones as players do that. Kudos to her. I'm sure Gino's gotten away with a lot over his career.
And in his press conference, he said, I said what I said. He said, they asked him what he said. I just said what I said, and that's it. And virtually, so he just pretty much, if he's shaking her hand, he just did what he wanted to do.
If they won, he wouldn't have been as upset. He lost. That's the main thing, what, upset him. They lost the game, and he was frustrated.
He lost because Dawn Staley did exactly the kind of stuff that he was doing, and it worked for her. That's what it was, and that's a good point, James. I like that, and it's a good point too by you, Jack. But like I said, it is, dude. They both had to be. What I didn't like about the whole scene when I was looking at it, I looked at it about 3 or 4 times. while you guys are debating, and I listen to you guys. But the thing is, they were holding her back more than they were holding him back. I was like,
he ignited whatever it is he said to her. Whatever he said to
set her
her
off.
really set her off for sure.
Yeah, and he went by her. Not only did he after he did the okay, I'll call it a fake handshake for your sake, James. A fake handshake, and he walked away. But then he came back around to go to his bench, and even the coaches, his assistant coaches on the other side, were talking to him like, you can't be doing all that, bro. You know what I'm saying? And then one of his own assistant coaches had to separate them, Don Staley and Gino. It's unfortunate that was something that people are going to remember about the end of that game or about that game in general. Not that South Carolina just dominated UConn, and that's going to be the unfortunate part of it. And I think that's probably maybe what Gino was trying to do in the first place. He wanted to tarnish the game.
Okay.
All right. Next question. Will Las Vegas Raiders sign Kirk Cousins ultimately turn out to be a good thing for Fernando Mendoza? Go ahead, James.
So I do think so. First of all, because he can teach him how to fleece the NFL for money that you don't really earn. But that's a joke. Sorry. But yeah, I do think he's going to be a good benefit. I mean, he's got a 1-year contract, $20 million, and he's only there to be a bridge quarterback at this juncture of his career. He's not there to go in and compete for a starting job. It's likely that he either will start as be the starting quarterback, allow Mendoza to be on the bench, or if Mendoza is great enough, like Russell Wilson was versus Matt Flynn when he was a rookie, he took over for Seattle as a starting quarterback at the start of the season. I just don't see that happening right now. You have opportunities. I know they shored up their offensive line a little bit in the free agency with Tyler Lindenbaum and what's the kid's name they got from San Francisco? Let's see, what's the other guy? Oh, Spencer Burford. Spencer Burford also, who's great and they're all playing with Clint Kubiak. So the run game is probably going to take precedence with the wide zone. They're going to be a lot better there. So I could imagine that Kirk Cousins, probably a little bit 1 year, a little bit more than a year removed from healing from the Achilles, or 2 years removed from the Achilles injury. They're kind of similar in quarterback. So, I mean, meaning both are pretty accurate. They can make all the throws, the accurate throws. They're not very strong down the field, but they can make really good throws. So I think at this juncture, you got 1 year, maybe Fernando Mendoza comes in at the half point, or he just sits a whole year and comes in afterwards. But I mean, this is still a rebuilding year for them. So I would imagine Kirk Cousins, again, can be, let's just say if Mendoza does start, you have a good viable quarterback up behind you to be able to, and to teach you some things that you can learn to be being a pro at that position. So I think either way, it's a good situation for them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see this as being a good thing for Fernando Mendoza. I mean, how's he going to be helped? I mean, Kate Cunningham had coached Kirk Cousins before. So obviously, he likes him. He's bringing him to the Raiders, okay, because that was his guy in the past. You don't even know whether, Kubiak even wants Fernando Mendoza, but he has to take him. Part of getting the job was knowing Mendoza was going to be the number 1 pick, and he has to nurture him. And he's kind of like forced on Kubiak to a large degree. And Kubiak will deal with it the best he can. And he has to invest in Mendoza down the line, but he's putting it off as long as possible by having Cousins there, thinking, well, maybe Cousins can have a good year 1. Maybe Cousins can then, be my quarterback year 2. Maybe I could stretch this thing out. Well, you're not going to win with Kirk Cousins. I mean, you're not going to win in the big picture. I mean, Kirk Cousins as well. What's he done over his whole career? One playoff game or something in his long career? I mean, he never took a Super Bowl run. Kirk Cousins is a decent, competent quarterback who doesn't take a team to the next level. He never has, but he'll look good for certain games. He's going to look good for certain games for the Raiders. He's going to have about 3 games for the Raiders where he's going to put up really good numbers and look good, and people are going to be bragging about him, kind of like Daniel Jones with Indianapolis. If the rest of the offense is running well with the Raiders, they're going to win some games. And by the way, you're shaking your head, James. Are we talking about the same 8-9 Indianapolis Colts last year who were 8-9 when all was said and done?
It was injury induced.
Daniel Jones was injured. And my thing is, again and again, I don't care what the reason is, Daniel Jones doesn't take you to the next level, okay, all in all. But Kirk Cousins is actually better than Daniel Jones career-wise. But I don't want to hear this. He's going to mentor Fernando Mendoza. Let Mendoza pick his own mentor. Who the heck are they to force a mentor on Fernando Mendoza? Kirk Cousins doesn't want Fernando Mendoza to see the field. He's not wishing any ill will on him. I'm not saying he wouldn't try to help Fernando Mendoza, but he's keeping an eye on him. Kirk Cousins' attitude is, he's the future of the Raiders. Yeah, he's the future when Kirk Cousins is going to sit. That's just the way it works. A real mentor and backup quarterback is a guy who knows he's absolutely there to be the backup, and he's accepted it fully. Kirk Cousins isn't accepting being Mendoza's backup. He wants to have.
He has to have that mentality with a 1-year contract, Jack. Come on, he's not there for the long haul.
He has more than 1 year.
Only one guaranteed, though.
But if he has a good year, a really good year, then he might continue to start and continue to get the money, okay? And he'll continue to be number 1 until further notice. That's what happens.
He has to fully understand that he is not the future there at 38 years of age, and understand that they will be drafting. Otherwise, why take that job? Why even go there if you're not going to have the idea that you're going to be either a mentor or a backup to this quarterback that's coming, who will eventually take over? Because we've invested the number 1 overall.
He can't start anywhere else. He can't show his worth anywhere else. He'd be a backup. If Cousins
1 year guaranteed, Jack, for $20 million. And this is the same guy that had an $84 million guaranteed contract, the first ever to do that with that much money. He got $100 million. And he got $150 for it from Atlanta. He's got all this money and with a high floor and a low ceiling. A high floor, low ceiling player.
If the Raiders go 9-8 this year, I don't think they will, but it's possible. 9-8, and they get a wild card berth. And Cousins has a really good year, plays the whole season. Next season, guess what? I don't know. Are they going to Mendoza? They might not. They might start the season with Cousins again. We don't know.
Let me ask you a question. You just mentioned that. In the past couple of years, has Kirk Cousins given you the idea that they're going to go 9-8, or that with Atlanta with 3 first-round draft picks on the offense? Does he give you the idea going to Vegas that they're going to go 9-8?
No, because he's not that good. Like I said a moment ago, but he's playing now for a coach who had him in the past. That's the difference. Kubiak coached him. He's Kubiak's guy. You don't know what Kubiak's thinking. Kubiak might be thinking he might even be saying to Cousins on the side, look, you're my guy. As long as you play really lights out, you're going to be number 1. I'm going to see you stay in that position. It's Cousins' job to lose right now. Ultimately, Mendoza has to start, because when you draft a guy number 1 overall, you have to start him. But things change. When Tony Romo got hurt, he never got his job back because Dak Prescott was lights out. Look at Jordan Love. He had to be on the bench for 3 years. Aaron Rodgers had to be on the bench for 3 years, because of Favre and then Rodgers, respectively. played lights out. I don't think it's a good thing for Fernando Mendoza. I'm just going to say one final thing and then be done. Imagine this same scenario played out for Cam Ward at Tennessee. They got a Kirk Cousins, and they had Cam Ward carry the clipboard. Caleb Williams the year before with the Bears. These guys needed to make their rookie mistakes to be better quarterbacks. You need to play and make the mistakes. Carrying a clipboard and not making mistakes and just say, oh, I want to learn. Let Mendoza sit down and have sessions with Tom Brady in the meanwhile. He's going to learn every bit as much as he would from Kirk Cousins just watching him.
I'm going to say this. You got to have some vision, Jack. And I think this is what the Raiders are doing. They're trying to have some vision. I don't think that they think they're going to the Super Bowl this year. Okay. Sometimes you got to, as a franchise, you got to step back and say, hey, it's kind of like the Jets situation that you have there. They're not going to no Super Bowl this year. It could happen, but they're most likely they're not. But the point of the matter is they have a vision for their future, what they set. And they got Kirk Cousins to come in there to be the starter for at least a guaranteed year, okay? To mentor Mendoza, which you should do, is because Mendoza should not be thrown into the pack immediately. Yes, he won a Heisman Trophy and a national championship, but is he that quarterback? I don't think so. And I think the Raiders realize that too, especially when one of your part owners was a quarterback. I'm sure he's looked into that whole situation as well. If you're going to pick him out to be your franchise person, let him be guided the right way instead of just throwing him out to the wolves, okay? With Kurt having the contract that he does, the first year being guaranteed, he'll probably be the guy, regardless if he does well or not. Kirk's always been a regular season quarterback in the first place. To your credit, he can't get past a couple of things. So that's true. That's factual. But he is a good regular season quarterback. Whatever Mendoza takes from that, he can use to advance the Raiders into a playoff mode. That's an individual thing. He's going to have to do that on his own. But let's say that next year they start Mendoza, and maybe they give Cousins an $80 million extension, because that's basically it's a 5-year deal, but it's actually a 1-year deal, and they just kind of stretched it out a little bit based on how performance is going to go in the next couple of years. So wait, if Mendoza starts off next year and he plays well, that's Kirk's last year there. He's going to be a backup. That'll be his last year there. If Mendoza doesn't play well, okay, and like by game 8 or something like that, and the Raiders doesn't have a good record, then that's when Kirk Cousins will take over and play the rest of the season or whatever the case may be until they fix whatever's wrong with Mendoza. So this is a plan that I think that the Raiders got in place, and I think it's a very good plan. It's an expensive plan, but it's a good plan at the same time. So, I mean, I don't fault them for that. And Cousins is a fail-safe. He's not a bad quarterback. He's not a great quarterback, but he's a veteran quarterback that's been in certain places, and he can give that ultimately to Fernando. So I don't understand why you think that if he has a good season, that's just an added bonus for the Raiders as far as Kirk Cousins goes. Doesn't mean they're going to keep him again. His job is to mentor Mendoza.
No, Brian. It's less about Kirk Cousins than Mendoza's situation. I'm a big believer quarterbacks learn by playing. I know certain situations they sit a year, whatever. But even Patrick Mahomes, you had an established quarterback in a very good Kansas City Chiefs team. So I could understand the 1-year transition once in a while. I don't want to hear Tom Brady. He was the 4th string quarterback on the team. So no one was sitting him on purpose. But other quarterbacks, they make mistakes. Like I said, like Caleb Williams, he gave him a chance to play. Jaden Daniels, CJ Stroud, you gave him a chance to play as rookies. I mean, you only learn by playing. You mainly learn by playing, I should say. Okay.
Well, I'm just one thing before we go to the next subject.
Yeah.
Just based on that, those are quarterbacks were put in this position because they had no other choice but to start them because they didn't have any other quarterbacks. So you have to throw the rookie out there, and if you get him in the first round, he's got to play. In this is an ideal situation for Mendoza. He can learn NFL type of football without having to go out there and getting killed. You know what I'm saying? First, so he can do that to his second year. I still think it's a good move by the Raiders. But anyway, that's just me. All right. So next question. If Luka and the rest of the Los Angeles Lakers teams are healthy come playoff time, are they a legitimate threat to win the NBA championship? Go ahead, Jack.
I would say yes, actually, even though most people think no. It's easy to say no because of recent developments. Luka is going to miss the rest of the regular season, and we don't know him coming back from the hamstring, how he's going to be for the playoffs. So, but the key thing is if they're healthy. If Luka's not 100%, forget about it. It's not going to happen. Now, the Lakers were on this great run. And then they had a 4-game span in which 3 of the 4 games would be 2 against OKC and 1 against Cleveland. And that was supposed to tell us whether they were for real or not. And they beat a very good Cleveland Cavalier team. And then they laid an egg against OKC. Luka got hurt, but they were far behind during the game. It was awful, but you want to know something? It happens to every team. Once in a while, nothing goes right, no matter how big a game it is. OKC was fired up, and the Lakers just had a terrible game. And if Luka didn't get hurt, it's called a throwaway game. It happens to every team. You just forget about it. And then they're supposed to play OKC again in Los Angeles. Now, that game might be revealing. The Lakers won't have Luka. I don't think they're going to win the game in LA. And I know I say they're no moral victories. They're mainly no moral victories. If the Lakers can play OKC a very close game at home, very close, down to the wire type game, even if they lose, I think everything could get in sync again. The whole thing with the Lakers is just, hold serve until Luka gets back for the playoffs. And if they could continue to play the way they're doing, I think OKC can be had. It took them 7 games, the 2 7-game series last year to win the NBA championship. OKC they're not a powerhouse. I don't even think they're going to beat San Antonio if they play them head-to-head, but that remains to be seen. Do I think the Lakers would win are going to win the NBA championship if Luka's completely healthy, everyone's completely healthy? No. But are they a legitimate threat to win it all? I think the way they were playing, I do think they are at least a legitimate threat to win it all.
So I know, barring the injury to Luka Doncic, we want to talk about the Lakers, what they were prior to this injury, and I'm gonna leave it at that question because that's a fair point as to how the Lakers were playing the last several games. They were winning their games. Mind you, they just had I'll give you also that every team they lay an egg. They were losing. Before the injury, they were losing by 32 points. Luka had a 3 for 10 night, 12 points, whatever rebounds and assists. He was just having a bad game. And the Lakers altogether, a lot of turnovers, a lot of steals. But you got to give credit to a great defensive team that they were playing in OKC. But that being said, the Lakers, prior to the injury, were 31-1 betting odds to make it to the championship, and they were 15-1 to make it into the Western Conference Finals. When the injury occurred, they dropped down to 100-1 to make it to the championship and 60-1 to make it to the Western Conference Finals. But prior to the injury, you got to play 7 games. You got to play 7 games. The question should have been, can the Lakers win the championship in the 7-game series against a team like OKC or against a team like San Antonio or even a defensive stalwart like Houston. I just think that the Lakers don't have enough defensively, because when you're in the playoffs, that's what really matters. The defense has to really it steps up a notch with every team. And when you got San Antonio, where you got Wembanyama, he's this huge, big stretch that goes all over the court, and he will stop you defensively. And you have Stephon Castle, a big 6'6" guard, and you have De'Aaron Fox, Dylan Harper, Harrison Barnes, who's a 38% three-point shooter right now. I mean, it's just they have Marcus Smart. Marcus Smart, to me, will play the role of what Rajon Rondo played for the Lakers in 2020 when they won the championship in the bubble. But they also had Anthony Davis, who was on a tear playing great defense. They don't have that anymore. And so it's not enough. I think Marcus Smart is a great addition to them, but it won't be enough. It won't be enough to win a championship. They may have a good enough team to beat Denver. It depends on how you can handle Jokic. They may have a good enough team to beat Minnesota, but Edwards, when he's on a tear, he's on a tear. I just don't know what you're going to get from him from game to game in the playoffs. They could beat any other team, I think, but it's just going to be tough with those two teams you mentioned. OKC, I'm sorry, they just showed you in that one game, even though you said it was one game, that's a pretty impressive game to show that they were stealing the ball left and right, Jack. And LeBron James, the question is, does he have enough energy and will at going on 42 to be able to take over the game or play defensive in a 7-game series? Now, you could do this 1 or 2 games here and there, but they're going to need LeBron James from 2020.
Can I just say something, James?
Sure, go ahead.
JJ Redick is making a brilliant move right now. It might be subtle. You might just dismiss it and laugh it off. But to get LeBron charged up and motivated even more, and not that LeBron isn't motivated, but to really get him super motivated. If you notice lately in the box scores, Bronny is getting more minutes. So when Bronny is more into the team, now LeBron is a little more charged up because Bronny's getting this extra gentle playing time.
Yeah, I mean, so he's getting that time because Marcus Smart is out. So he's taking his spot pretty much, because so if Marcus Smart comes back, that's going to go back. He's going to go back to the bench. And don't get me wrong, he's got some quality minutes in there, but he's not the answer to playoff time. I mean, but I get what you're saying in regards to LeBron being motivated to play a little bit more, to find energy from somewhere, but he's going to get wore out, man. I'm telling you, it's just those teams are just too strong and too deep on their roster. That's where the problem. I think the Lakers don't have a really good roster defensively, and they can give you a lot of points with both Luka if and when he comes back, and Austin Reeves, and then of course LeBron James as their third option. But that's about it. I think they've maybe second round out, or maybe at best get to the Western Conference Finals, but they won't pass neither one of those teams, those two teams I just mentioned.
Well, if they get to the Western Conference Finals, it does mean they were a threat to get there because they got there to Final Four.
Yeah, I mean, any team that gets in the playoffs at this point is going to be a threat. Whether they're going to be a threat to San Antonio and OKC is a different story. I think the real question that needs to come out of this whole situation too is, why was Luka playing with 7:39 left in a game they weren't going to win in the first place? Because they were getting blown out by 40 points. They got blew out by 43 points. Why was he playing? He should have.
Well, he went down. He went down in the third. They were about by 32 in the third quarter. So yeah, he went down in the third.
Regardless, the point of the matter is, by that time, you pretty much aren't catching up to OKC. OKC is just putting down literally the thunder on you. So, I mean, it's just, I wouldn't have even had him out there in the first place. So, or using him sparingly. You know what I'm saying? That you're trying to make it like you're going to come back. And I'm not saying that in this NBA that's not possible, but you're going against the number one defensive team in the NBA. So, but on the question itself, I think they are a legit threat to win the NBA championship, just like any other playoff team is, because hell, anybody can catch fire in the NBA playoffs and win it. I just don't see it as them actually winning the championship. I don't think they'd be in a championship. I think they're legit, just like the other 6-7 playoff teams are going to be in there with them, but they'll be out. We'll see. So we'll see with this team. Anyway. All right, next question. Assuming that Trevor Bauer pitches well for the Long Island Ducks, should a major league team sign him to a contract? I'm going to give this one to Jack. Jack's more.
Yeah, one thing about James, he always wants these bad boys to go in the Hall of Fame. Guys who split locker rooms up, guys who destroy team chemistry. James is going to point to their stats, what they've done, and say they should be given an opportunity. And you want to know something? And I got to agree with them in this particular case. Trevor Bauer was a bad guy, was a really bad guy. I don't know how he is now, but there's a such thing as someone getting humbled, okay? Look, guys, we have a great show over here. We really do. But if Stephen A. Smith was let go by ESPN and Fox and all these other networks wouldn't hire him, and he had to join us here as one of the four, he'd be humbled. He'd want to get back to the ESPN airwaves. Let's be honest about it, okay? He'd want to get back to the show more or less, the big time. We're not quite the big time. We got a great following. And that's what Trevor Bauer is facing right now. He's playing the Atlantic Coast League. He played in the Mexican League, the Japanese League before that, because Trevor Bauer was a jerk, a first-class jerk. Terry Francona, the Cleveland Indian manager, would come to get the ball from him, and he threw it over the center field fence. He antagonized teammates. He was a bad guy, and it goes back to college when he played with Garrett Cole. Reportedly, Cole didn't like him there, and he had some trouble with the law. But, there's such thing as giving a guy another chance. He's been punished enough by being left out of baseball. Former Cy Young Award winner. If he's still got enough left, and if he pitches really well for the Long Island Ducks, and I went to some Duck games, it's fairly good baseball there, especially if Trevor Bauer's dominant. You sign him. What are you scared about? Your sponsors are going to pull their product. Women's groups are going to start picketing about Trevor Bauer. Come on. You can't be scared about this stuff. Enough's enough. Trevor Bauer deserves another chance. If he starts acting like a knucklehead and he's splitting the clubhouse up with his antics and ticking guys off, get rid of him. And make him understand that when you sign him a big league team. If we have any problems at all, we're going to have very little tolerance with you. You better behave yourself. Understand? See his attitude. Interview him the way the NFL does. And if he says, no, I'm here to pitch. I'm going to be on my best behavior. And he is, no problem. Okay? I say sign him to a contract as long as he can pitch well for the Ducks. Obviously, if he's not performing at a big league level anymore, you don't bring him up. But if he is, you certainly give him a chance.
I love how Jack just throws me under the bus by bringing up the fact that I like bad boys. Look, the situation. I know you and I totally disagree on Terrell Owens and whether or not he should have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. You say he's a locker room cancer. I say the stats is what matters and what you did on the field. This guy didn't do anything off the field. He's never been accused of SA or sexual assault or anything like that. And whether he was a locker room cancer or not, he still produced on the field for a long time, and he should have been there. But that being said, this guy, he early on, he was a talent. I mean, first team all MLB and Cy Young winner in 2020 and 2021, I believe, or 2020, and got a contract. But these things come out. Look, I'm not going to say he was never charged with a crime. He was never charged with a crime. I'm not going to say he's guilty of anything. But when the league says, I'm going to suspend you for 324 games, let me say this first. It was up to 324 games, and through an appeal, it went down to 194, of 192 or something like whatever that amount. It's still a season and several, 194, a season and 30 plus games as well. So something had to be there for them to say, nah, we got to step away from this a bit, and then let the law take care of it. Whether he's innocent or guilty, fine. But you can tell it wouldn't have been bad had he, because there was never any criminal charges. Obviously, they wanted civil, so they wanted the money. But with that being said, his attitude and everything else he's done didn't help him. It didn't help him to come back. Mm-hmm. The other stuff, it's just crazy. Like, come on, man. I mean, teammates, yeah, of course, you're going to be with a guy as long as he can produce. But if your own teammates be like, man, I don't like this guy. It's crazy. But when you work with him, I don't know what to say. I mean, it's the league's prerogative to say it's just way too much to say we want to bring. I mean, individually or organization by organization, nobody wants to bring him back. I mean, it's been since 2021. That's a long time to say that I don't want you to play for us. That must be something there to say, like, it's just too much trouble to deal with. And I mean, like you said, Jack, Japan and Mexico, he was the pitcher of the year there, and they won a championship in Mexico, and now he's with the Long Island Ducks. But maybe this would be an opportunity for him to come back. He may come. He even said he'll play for league minimum. But it's almost to the point where, like, he's 35 now. He probably can still pitch well, and he's got, I think, all-time ERA is 3.79. So he could be a benefit on a team, reliever or whatever it may be. But there's something there. And I'm not going to say that he doesn't deserve a second chance, Michael Vick, but Michael Vick was convicted. He served 2 years in a federal penitentiary. He got a second chance, got another $100 million contract. I don't know the situation here. It's still ambiguous. It's still ambiguous. Even though one of the ladies that charged, I mean, that accused him, she got charged $300,000 in order to pay that to him because of disagreement of the breach of contract, a breach of what their agreement was. And also another lady was accused of fraud. So I'm not saying that he's innocent or guilty or not. That's for the courts aside. Even like I said, he was never charged, but everything here, he just, again, what's damning to me is that amount of time that the league decided to give him. And that's what's kind of damning. And that's an issue there. So I can't say yay or nay he deserves to be in the league or not. I'm just going to say I don't have a problem with them saying they don't want him in there. That's it.
The league gave A-Rod 121 games, and now he's the Fox analyst and, a face of baseball, just to say that.
Yes, but for what, though? They gave him 100 and some games for what? I think they look at everything differently, Jack.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, when we're talking about doping versus potential sexual assault, come on, man.
Yeah, doping and sexual assault are two different things in baseball. And I have to say that, also in March of 2024, another woman came out and claimed that he sexually assaulted her and impregnated her and was charged with defrauding him. But Bauer had paid her $10,000 for mental expenses and prenatal vitamins and services. So if it was alleged that you did this and you said you didn't do it, why are you paying the money? That's always the guilty point of the view. And I don't know. I don't know what baseball's league stance is on domestic violence. I'm sure it's not a good one, but it's kind of like, I think it's like the opposite of how the NFL works, because the NFL, you can have domestic case violence and still be playing. But this dude also, and like to James's point, and to your point, Jack, that this guy does not get away. I mean, he's not a good teammate with anybody. He can't get along with anybody in any locker room. And nobody wants all that. I said, first of all, you're going to be hiring a guy that has a alleged criminal record. Alleged, now I'm saying. And then on top of that, then you're going to have a guy that's going to mess up the entire chemistry of your locker room because he decides he wants to be an a-hole. I wouldn't sign him to any contract. And you better be happy with the Long Island Ducks. Stay there and do your thing because you ain't getting in it. I don't think the major leagues wants him in baseball. He's not baseball material at this point. And, the major leagues is having a little bit of problems right now in the first place. So they don't need any more problems with this guy. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to get a contract. I don't think he should get a contract either.
And Jack, I will give you a credit in regards to what you said about Rodriguez in regards to the games he got suspended. Baseball is hypocritical because when the steroid thing was going on in the 90s, they allowed that. They knew it was going on. It brought ratings. It brought baseball back. So, I mean, I get it. It's a bit hypocritical in regards to that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
But, again, I just look at those two things differently.
Trevor Bauer's been a bad guy. Don't misunderstand me. But technically speaking, he hasn't been put in jail. I mean, he's been free to do whatever, technically speaking. I feel he has paid his dues. He's been punished enough by Major League Baseball by being kept out of the game long enough. I felt that way about Ray Rice. Ray Rice should have absolutely gotten another chance at some point, and he never did. I mean, how much do we want to punish a guy after a while?
Fair enough. That's why I said I can't really answer as to whether or not he deserved it to be in or not. I just don't have a problem with the league saying that they. I mean, if they were to accept him, fine, he's in. If they don't accept him, fine, he's out. That's what my answer is for him. It's like I'm not going to say he deserves to be in. I'm not going to say he deserves to be out because of the lack of evidence for criminal charges, but because of how they view him and what they see here, I don't know if he deserves. I mean, look what they did to Pete Rose. So I mean, sorry, that's a whole different story.
Bauer, if he's humbled, give him another chance. If he can adjust, if he's the same Trevor Bauer as before, no, he's a distraction. But I gotta feel he's humbled to a degree.
Like B just said, in 2024, that's not long ago where he had a whole other issue. I mean, it could have been long. I don't know.
Accused, but she didn't.
Accused, right?
He was defrauded, according to a judge, too. And then
right.
Again, he paid her $10,000 though. That's a mission to go to me.
But the judge said technically it was fraud as well. Maybe gave it a 10,000 so it wouldn't get out public relations wise.
It was extortion. It was considered extortion. Yes.
Well, anyway, on that note, I am BA along with James Martin and Jack Hirsch again. Everybody have a great day. We'll see you next Saturday at 8 a.m. in the morning. Peace out.